Good morning. Our opening words are written by Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Lynn Unger. What a gathering, the purple tongues of iris licking out at the spikes of lupin, the orange crepe skirts of poppies lifting over buttercup and daisy. Who can be grim in the face of such abundance? There is nothing to compare, no need for beauty to compete. The voluptuous rhododendron and the plain grass are equally filled with themselves, equally declare the miracles of color and form. This is what community looks like, this vibrant jostle stem by stem, declaring the marvelous joining. This is the face of communion, the incarnation once more gracefully resurrected from winter. Hold these things together in your sight, purple, crimson, magenta, blue. You will be feasting on this long after the flowers are gone. Now we invite you to rise in body or spirit to join us in our opening hymn, number 305, in your gray hymnals. And we will sing verses 1 through 3 of De Colores.
I apologize because I'm not sure who is lighting our chalice this morning. Jennifer, thank you. This morning's chalice words are written by Jennifer McLaughlin. As the first hint of green begins to peek through the barren ground, as that little sprig grows into a healthy stem, as that stem grows into a stalk and forms a bud, as that bud slowly opens with each new day to form a yellow daffodil, let us be like that first hint of green, renewed by the warmth of the sun's rays, and ready to emerge with a new energy, ready to face the day. we light this chalice to bring a glimmer of that warmth into our space. And please rise in body or spirit and join us in this morning's call to worship. The words are written in your order of service.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth DeCoux, and it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome each and every one of you to Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church this morning. We really can't take it for granted that we're here to gather worshiping, because for a long, long time we weren't able to do that. So it's wonderful to be together. If you are a first-time visitor, I want to offer you a very warm welcome and suggest that you might stop by the welcome table at the back of the sanctuary as you leave so you can gather some information about us. But we're very glad to have you here. There will be fellowship after church. I think we'll have some food out in the building and some outside, if my understanding is correct. And whoever you are and wherever you've come from, we're very glad that you're here. One of the things that is special about our community is that we share each other's joys and concerns. And a joy that's magnified is so happy, and sharing a concern can make it less of a weight for us. I'd like to welcome Deborah Jones to come to the front and read our joys and concerns. Thank you, Deb.
This first candle we light to honor the people of Ukraine with these two blue and yellow floral arrangements on either side of the pulpit. We continue to hold the country of Ukraine in our hearts. And we light the final candle for the joys and concerns that remain in the quiet of our hearts.
Good morning. Today is the day that Mother Nature has given us. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Look at all the beautiful flowers and all the beautiful faces. So welcome. Today is a special Wonder Box, and it's a really special day for us as a congregation because today is the uniquely UU celebration of the Flower Communion. And you may ask, what is the Flower Communion and why is it important? And I'm going to share a story with you called A Plain and Simple Beauty that will explain the what, the how, the why behind this celebration. This is a true story about real people in our faith. But first, I will need some volunteers. And may I call Jonas and John and Julia and Jenna to the front. And we're going to open the Wonder Box. Just a little secret, they're already in on it. So you can go ahead and open the Wonder Box. And then we're going to take it out. Yeah, they know what to do. So 2 on this side and 2 on this side. You guys are awesome. All right, so now we're ready to tell our story. Our story begins in the city of Prague, in the country of Czechoslovakia, in the year of 1923, a time between the 2 world wars. And in this place, there was a church. But the building didn't look like a church. Think about what you think a church looks like. Some churches have towers with bells that ring all over the land. Some churches have tall spires that reach to the sky. And some churches have massive wooden doors that are carved or enormous stained glass windows with colored light shining through them. Some churches have great big organs with hundreds of pipes, with small ones as small as a straw and some that are as tall as the building itself touching the ceiling. Some churches have pictures or candles or even chalices. This church had none of those things. It had no bells, no spires, no stained glass windows. It had no organ to make beautiful music. It didn't even have a piano. Right? It had no carvings of wood or statues of stone. It had no candles and no chalices. It had no flowers. The church did have some things. Let's think about it. It had 4 walls, a ceiling, and a floor. It had a door, had a couple of windows, and it had hard wooden seats. But that was all. Plain and simple, nothing else. Except the church had people who came to it almost every Sunday, and they were the most important part of the church. Because without people, a church, any church, is just a building. No matter how tall the spires, no matter how loud its bells. We have a plain and simple church, the people would proclaim, because we are a plain and simple people. We need nothing more. The church also had one other thing. It had a minister, and his name was Norbert Šapek. He had been the minister at the plain and simple church for 2 years. And every Sunday, Minister Šapek went to church, and he spoke to the people, and they listened, sitting quietly and still in those hard wooden chairs. And when he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves, and then they went home. And that was all. No music, no candles, no food, not even coffee or cookies. Minister Šapek had wondered sometimes if there might be something more, perhaps just a little bit something. He wrote some songs, and the people sang them, but nothing else came to his mind, so the church went on as plain and simple as before. Are my volunteers ready? Springtime came to the city of Prague in the land of Czechoslovakia in the year 1923. And Norbert Čapek went for a stroll. The rains had come, and the birds were singing, and the flowers were blooming all over the land. There's our flowers. The world was beautiful. Then an idea came to him, simple and clear, plain as the day. The next Sunday, he asked all the people of the church to bring a flower, or a budding branch, or even a twig. Each person was to bring one. What kind, they asked? What color? What size? You choose, he said. Each of you choose what you like. And so, on the next Sunday, which was the first day of summer, or today, May Day, the people came with flowers of all different colors and sizes and kinds. There were yellow daisies and red roses. There were white lilies and blue asters, pink-eyed daisies and light green leaves, pink and purple, orange and gold. There were all those colors and more. Minister Čapek spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs. These flowers are like us, he said. Different colors, different shapes, different sizes, each needing its own different kind of care, but each beautiful, each important, each special, all in its own way. When he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves, and then they each chose a different flower from the vase before they went home. And that was all. And it was beautiful, as plain and simple as the day. I wonder if you realize how unique, how special, how loved each of you is. Together we create a beautiful bouquet. So happy Flower Communion. Thank you for our volunteers for helping to tell our story today. Nice job. And now the children and their adult helpers will gather all the flowers brought in by all of you and to the classrooms, and we'll get them ready for our simple consecration and our simple communion. And if you would, remain seated and sing us out to hymn number 413, Go Now in Peace. Blessed be.
You can learn a lot of things from the flowers, for especially in the month of June, there's a wealth of happiness and romance, all in the golden afternoon. That's from the Disney movie Alice in Wonderland. And while we celebrate our flower communion today, let's see what we can learn from the flowers and receive that wealth of happiness and romance. Now, as we approach the time for the offering, we give our material resources with generosity and gratitude. No matter how much money you put into the plate, the act of giving is a symbolic reminder that giving is just as important as receiving. That sharing what we have is how we live that value of generosity. We will now take an offering that allows us to exercise that generosity of spirit and deepen our sense of giveness. You can find giving envelopes in the gray hymnals. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. I'd like to invite our ushers for today, Henry and Amanda Singh, to come forward to accept the offering. After the offering is complete, please stand in body or spirit and join in singing our offertory hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
You know, as I look out over the congregation, it's amazing. I wonder if it's just coincidental that so many of us are wearing clothing that has flowers in it. And then, of course, we have our lovely flock of flamingos over here, so thank you, Jennifer. I would like to now invite our children to bring the flowers forward and place them on the tables so that we can participate in our flower communion. I will now consecrate these flowers with the actual words written by Reverend Dr. Norbert Chapek, who we heard about this morning in Chris's Time for All Ages. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, among diversities of knowledge and gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to good and beauty. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing with one another. May we cherish friendship as a most important gift. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationships, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed. May we be strengthened by the knowledge that one Spirit, the Spirit of love, unites us, and may we endeavor together for a more joyful life for all. Amen.
It is now time for us to share in the flower communion. I ask that you, as you each in turn approach the communion vases, you do so quietly, reverently, with a sense of how important it is for each of us to address our world and one another with gentleness, justice, and love. I ask that you select a flower different from the one that you brought that particularly appeals to you. If you didn't bring a flower, that's okay, there's plenty. As you take your chosen flower, noting its particular shape and beauty, please remember to handle it carefully. It is a gift that someone else has brought. It represents that person's unique humanity and therefore deserves our kindest touch. Let us share quietly in this Unitarian Universalist ritual of oneness and love. I would ask you to please rise, and we'll proceed in rows. Please move to the outside of the building to select your flower, then return to your seats. Down the middle, I have Donna and Chris coming up to help guide some traffic. And if the first two rows would please that way, come up and choose your flowers. We'll have a little background music by Gary. Yes, no? Background? Please come forward and choose your flowers. And as you see the row in front of you dueling down, please feel free to egress this way and return back to the center. Please feel free to be seated once you have chosen your flower.
We will now bless the flowers with these words by Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Thomas Rhodes. Within our hands, we hold the resurrection of the world. Transient and imperfect, these blossoms are still gifts of infinite value, like ourselves. Too often we seek permanence and perfection, resisting change, blind to our shortcomings. We become caught up with the petty issues and routine activities of our daily lives. But may these flowers serve as a reminder as they allow themselves to open to the heavens, for despite their imperfections, they still have integrity. And though they are transient, they contain the seeds of transcendence, like ourselves. Let us then also open ourselves to mystery and wonder, fretting not about the small mishaps or even, for now, great misfortune. For the resurrection of the world is at our fingertips. The resurrection lies within us. Let us together keep a moment of silent appreciation. So be it. Blessed be.
In your order of service, we have a copy of a song that's not in the hymnal because it is written by our own Gary Smart. And it's called "With These Flowers We Celebrate." That's going to be our closing hymn today. You're welcome to take it home with you, but if you'd like to recycle it, because we save them and use them again next Flower Communion, you can leave them on the back table before you leave. Gary, would you play it through once, and then let's begin. Please stand. Thank you so much, Gary. It's so wonderful that we have our very own song for this celebration. I'm going to have Jennifer come up to extinguish our chalice. Our benediction today comes from the words of John Denver from Rhymes and Reasons. We believe it is here we must begin to seek the wisdom of children and the graceful way of flowers in the wind. For the children and the flowers are my sisters and my brothers. Their laughter and their loveliness could clear a cloudy day, like music of the mountains and the colors of the rainbow. They're a promise of the future and a blessing for today. And the song that I'm singing is a prayer to non-believers. Come and stand beside us. We can find a better way. Amen, namaste, and blessed be.